Welcome to Crochet 101. For more information about this series and all other videos in this series, you can check out the Crochet 101 playlist on my profile. Today we are going to be bringing together a lot of the tips that we've gone through, the tips and the tutorials we've gone through over the past week and a half or so, and we are going to be creating this very basic coaster together. So see if you can spot all of our tutorials and all of our tricks and things like that as we go along. So we're going to be using our 5mm hook and our weight 4 yarn, just like we've been using for all of our practicing. And again, this is a very basic coaster. There's more advanced techniques we can do to like add more things to this, to clean this up, to change the stitches in this, but I just kind of wanted to show you the practical application of all of those tutorials we've been doing. So we are going to start with a magic circle. So we create the X over our finger. We take our hook, we go under the first one, grab the second one, twist on our way up. We flip our hand over and we grab this first part of the X and pull it through our twist. We already had a magic circle tutorial, so if that was a little fast for you, you can go back and review that. And then we are going to put 6 single crochet into our magic circle. So again, we treat this as kind of our chain, and we go under it, we grab a loop, we pull it up, we yarn over, and we pull through, and we do that 5 times for a total of 6. Now, before we close this up, I'm going to let you guys know about how I keep track of my rows as I go along. And I just use scrap yarn to do that. I highly recommend you keep all of your scrap yarn. Have a cute little jar, have a little plastic sandwich bag, like whatever you want to do to contain it. You can use it for filling. You can use it for cute little decorative touches on things, like sewing on details onto faces and things like that. I use it to do sprinkles along my projects, and you can also use it to count your rows. So I'm going to grab this piece of pink yarn. You want to use a contrasting color to the color that you are using for your project so you can see it clearly. I also try and avoid like using a piece of black scrap yarn with a white project or like bright red, just because sometimes a few fibers might be left behind and you don't want to have to like pick those out. So before we close up our magic circle, we're going to take our piece of scrap yarn and we are going to stick it through here, and I'm just going to hold it like that, and then I'm going to grab the tail end of my magic circle and pull my magic circle closed. So we are ready to start working on our project, and whenever you encounter your scrap yarn, you are just going to flip it over your row. So flip it over like that and just crochet over it. So we are going to start with a row of all increases. So that's going to be 2 stitches in every single one of these stitches, and we're going to double our stitch count by doing that. So we kind of wiggle our way into this first stitch here. The first one's always the hardest. And we are going to do one single crochet into the stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the stitch. Move on to the next one, put 2 single crochet into it, and continue that on for the rest of your round. 2 single crochet into every single stitch. Reach the end of our round. I know that not only can I go back and count my stitches and make sure that I have 12, but we've also reached our piece of scrap yarn, and that signifies to me, okay, I've crocheted all the way around. So we are going to once again take our yarn and flip it over, and we are going to do our next round of increases, and that is going to be a single crochet into the first stitch, crocheting over our piece of scrap yarn, and then an increase into the next stitch, so 2 into the next one, for a total of 3 stitches so far in this row. We have 1 and then 2 and 3, and then you're going to continue that all the way around once again. So 1 single crochet, and then 2 into this next stitch, and repeat the pattern around. And I've once again reached the end of my round, and I know that because I've reached my stitch marker row counter. Now let's chat about how you can read this. Let's say I got called away and I have to go put my project down, and I come back and I have no idea where I was. I can count these bumps to tell me how many rows I've done and cross-reference that with my pattern. So we're going to end this row by starting the next one. So we're going to put a single crochet into the first stitch of our next round, and I know 1, 2, 3. I've completed 3 rows of this pattern. And that is how I use this so much. This is my main way of counting stitches, counting rows. As you go on, you're kind of always going to have a piece of scrap yarn with you. Highly recommend using this method. It allows you to kind of put things down, pick them back up. If you have other things going on in your life while you're crocheting, you're going to need to be able to count these rows. So let us continue on with our pattern. For this row, we did 1 single crochet, and then the next stitch we do 1 single crochet, and then this one we do an increase. So you can see that we are slowly increasing the amount of stitches in between our increases. For this row, it is 2 single crochet and then an increase. And that is how I work my increases to make nice, even, flat rounds. So you are going to continue working these increases, and you can almost see this is where our increases are, and this is where our single crochets are, until you have 8 single crochet in between your increases. So continue working this around until you've reached that point. And really quickly before you move on, I am going to teach you about how to read your rows, just so once again, if you put it down, you pick it back up. Wait, where was I? So we can see here. So let's say I have no idea how many increases I did in between each stitch on the last row. I can look closely at my project here. You can see there's 2 single crochet in that stitch, and then I have 1, 2, 3, and then there's 2 single crochet in this stitch, and I could double check and make sure that's true all the way around. And then I know this past row I did 3 single crochet between each stitch, and the next row I should do 4 single crochet between each stitch. So now that you can read this, you can properly get going. So I finished my final round of single crochets, and now we're going to move on to our border round. And because I'm just moving on from single crochet into what's going to be half double crochet, I'm not going to do any kind of like transitionary stitch thing. As you're working the round and you encounter patterns that have this, they might ask you to put in a single chain here. They might ask you to do like transitionary stitches, so just keep that in mind. But for our purposes, we're going to keep it super simple. So we are going to yarn over, so we remember that that's the end of our row. And now I am going to work half double crochet on the back loop. So we are going to have a little bit of like a cute border here around our coaster to kind of clean it up. We have tutorials on both crocheting on the back loop and half double crochet. So let's bring those skills back. So we're going to yarn over. We are going to go into the back loop of the stitch only, not through it. Pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through. And that is our half double crochet on the back loop. And you're going to continue that all the way around. No increases and no decreases. We're just doing a little border here until you've gone all the way around your project with this stitch. So we have come all the way around our project, and now we are going to finish it off by slip stitching into the first stitch of our last row. So slip stitch that through, and then cut your tail. You want to cut like a couple of inches. And as you can see, this little guiding string that we had pulls straight out. Give it a little squeeze, and there's no trace that it was even there, and you could save this for the next time you need to count your rows. And I will see you guys for our next lesson where we chat through weaving in our ends and how I do it.